Teacher Skyla here with SkylaSposts.com, and on this channel you'll find videos all about teaching ESL online, health and wellness, and ways to make money or an income from home. In this specific video, we will talk about the intermediate level mock class lesson A. We'll do a complete walkthrough. We'll talk about the things that you want to do, ways to approach the slides. So please open up your PowerPoint and follow along. Please pause and practice the tips and tricks we're talking about as we go so that you're really prepared going into your mock class. If you have started this process and you're needing a coach to help you through this more than just these videos, please email me. I'd love to help you if you're looking for that. My email is skylasposts@gmail.com. Okay, so I'm going to mention very quickly a really effective approach for the intermediate levels. So that way we can really work on some of the criteria or the way we present material that is very much encouraged during the mock classes. I am a teacher with VIPKid, but I'm also a mock class mentor. So when you come into the mock class and you are pretending to teach an adult or you are teaching adult who is pretending to be a student that can give you feedback and is helping you through that hiring process, I'm one of those faces that you see. So I hope that you find these tips very helpful because this is something that I coach on daily. So, similarly to the lower level, we do still implement something called I do, we do, you do, where we start out with repetition. We're having the student repeat with us, and then we go into where they start to understand and answer independently, and then it leads to independent verbal output and comprehension of the student. With the lower levels, specifically interactive level 2, it's very easy to know what to do because the slides are labeled certain ways so you know which approach to use. With these intermediate level lessons, it's not spelled out for you specifically. It's not labeled in the top corner on what to do when, so I'm giving you an outline to help you with that. So there's 3 steps that we want to follow in approaching any and all slides for the intermediate level. Number 1 is vocab repetition. Number 2, we cover the slide. Number 3, questions. Now, so I wrote vocab for number 1. That's repetition 2 times. So just like the lower levels, you can isolate the vocabulary word and have them repeat it at least 2 times. You can do that. Anytime there's a word written in red, it's a new vocabulary word for all the intermediate level lessons. Have them repeat it. Now, the second one that you also can use right here, this is for intermediate level only. It says 1 repetition plus read. So what that means is you can choose to have them isolate the vocabulary word and then immediately read it. Okay? An example would be having them say country, and then say, please read, and you mark it, and they would read, China is a country, the USA, and then move on. Okay? They'd keep reading. So I would suggest very big words like represents. You should have them repeat it with you a couple of times. But maybe a word like flag, they could repeat it once and then immediately read it. And the sentence is, this is China's flag. And as long as they, in this option or this option, say the word correctly, you can then move on. It counts if the student's verbal output of either the twice repetition or the once repetition and immediately read are correct output. Awesome. Go to step 2. Step 2 says cover the slide, and in parentheses, I wrote student reads. Most of the time, you'll go ahead and allow the student or encourage the student to read the lesson slides. Please mark where you want them to read. Always. Either with an arrow, a bracket, circle the whole thing, underline, whatever works for you. Mark it so there's no question, and then give a very clear and concise instruction like, please read, or read here, can you read? Just pick one and stick with it, but keep it very concise because there's a lot of content to cover. There's no need to go into great detail like, let's look at paragraph number 1. Can you read starting here? Avoid all that. Keep it simple. You don't have time for the extra words there. But the reason why I said student reads is because our overall goal of student output in the upper and intermediate level lessons is 70%. Lower level is 50% teacher, 50% student, but upper level is 70-30. I'll add that to this. So, as often as you can, if you have the student reading the slides, then that's getting them talking more. Of course, you can split the reading anytime you'd like. And then I wrote lesson objectives check. When you do step 1 and step 2, you've automatically already covered the basic lesson objectives. Did you know that? Because if you've covered the slide content and you've done repetition, you've done the bare minimum to hit the objectives. So it's really great to do these 2 steps because the objectives have been met. Now, step 3, this is probably the best tips I can give you is implementing step 3. So it says questions and I wrote open-ended. Then I wrote 1 to 2, 3 to 4, and I wrote pacing, 70-30, retention. So what that means is if you approach the slide going 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, or if there's no vocab in red, 2, 3, 2, 3, this is what's happening. You're asking open-ended questions, like asking back a definition. What does country mean? Or asking them something that elicits more than just a yes or no. 1, it gets them talking more than you. We're working towards that 70-30 goal. And it helps with retention if you're asking back lesson content. It can lead to extension if you're asking personal questions. Maybe you're on the flag side and you say something like, where do you see a Chinese flag? And then you build upon the conversation. Maybe they say they see a flag at school and you kind of talk about that from there. But the reason why I wrote pacing as well is this is where you have a lot of control over your lesson pacing. And that's something that people struggle with the most in the intermediate levels is, first of all, how do I present the material in a way that makes sense or scaffold it for the student? How do I get this 70-30? And how in the world do I pace myself? So what you'll want to do is a couple of slides, you'll just hit the basics. Vocab, cover the slide, 1 to 2 questions. Vocab, cover the slide, 1 to 2 questions. That's going to keep your pacing going and get some information out to the student. Then, maybe the 3rd slide, you switch to 3 or 4 open-ended questions and go into more detail and ask back definitions. Now you've got 3 slides worth of content that you can really start to discuss. Now, if you do that, you have so much more control. You already did repetition of the vocab. You already covered the slide, so you hit basic lesson objectives, and now you get to control the lesson. You're still getting the student talking more than you. You're always making corrections as needed, but we don't have time to extend or go into great detail on every single slide. So if you do the 1 to 2, 1 to 2, 3 to 4, 1 to 2, 1 to 2, 3 to 4, and you kind of make a pattern for yourself, you have more flexibility. An example of that would be an example of not following that to kind of show a contrast on what I mean would be, let's say you got to the slide, it's brand new, you're asking a bunch of questions, then you start to read it, and then you ask them to read, and then you have them repeat the words. You're kind of all over the place. It's not really in a cohesive order, and then you don't really know how long it's going to take. Usually if you start with a lot of conversation, you've been there for a while, and then you think, oh no, I've been here for a minute and a half. I've got to get moving. Oh, we haven't isolated vocabulary yet. Oh, we haven't even read the slide content yet. Do you see how then you might be there for another minute? And maybe you've been on the slide for 2.5 minutes and you're going, oh no. But if you have an outline and you're scaffolding that material with them and getting them to talk, and asking those questions, you have so much more control of how long you are there. So, yes, I encourage this approach for all intermediate level lessons. And There are tips included with each lesson slide. For the upper level, they are just a great suggestion and idea for you. They're suggestions or ideas. Where the lower level, it's more like the law. Do what this says. Upper level is suggestions. So most teachers find a happy place using some of their own questions and some of the suggested questions, and then they kind of use that as a guide. Where with lower level, it's very different. Upper level is more conversationally based and things like that. So, okay. Mark every slide. Use gestures as needed. You're still rewarding. You're still introducing a reward. And I'm just looking around what props I have that I can use for this lesson. So, all right. If I do something like this, that's me marking the slide. Okay, so you start on the slide that says my country, my culture, my country, and it has a lot of blue on it and some characters, including Dino. And you would start out something like this. Hello, my name is Teacher Skyla. What's your name? Oh, hello, Chris. It's nice to meet you. What did you do today? You played the piano? That's great. Wonderful. Wonderful. And what is your favorite thing to do? Basketball? Great. Great. Awesome. Chris, when you do a good job today, you'll get basketballs and stars. All right? Wonderful. Wonderful. Okay. Are you ready? So I introduced myself. I asked the student their name, and I asked a couple of questions about them. Oh, and you can also introduce the lesson. Today, we're going to talk about my country, my culture. And then you can say, are you ready? So then you'll click forward to this next slide. Keep in mind you have the reward system here. With the intermediate level lessons, we do not have interactive rewards at this time. So you can choose to use your own or use the reward provided. On this specific one where it's the panda with the bamboo, you would either click back to the reward slide and draw on it, or you would like create your own bamboo and have it printed off and show, or you'd use your own. At this level, since there's nothing to drag around like with the lower level, if you do introduce the reward on the introduction slide, this is the one time you have permission to skip. You could skip slide 2, or you could introduce your own reward while the reward system slide is showing. For this purpose, I will just move to the next one because I already introduced the reward. Okay. So we go forward and we get to this vocabulary slide. The students at this level can comprehend some of our transitional talk. However, for pacing purposes and for teacher to student speaking ratio purposes, we're still avoiding the transitional talk, okay? So get to the slide, and instead of saying like, now we're going to learn about, or now we're going to learn some new vocabulary words, country and countries, take all of that out. Just mark the word, have them repeat it, or have some kind of prop showing the word. Okay, we don't need all the extra. Even though they comprehend it at this level, we just don't have the time to do it. Okay? Country. Country. Good. Countries. Please read. Good. Oh, look. The UK. Great job. So, Chris, which country are you from? Ah, full sentence, please. I am from China. Great job. I am from America. Yes. So, what is my country? Yes. Very good. So, right there, we isolated the vocabulary words. We had the student read. We asked 1 to 2 questions. Okay. Now, I also used a prop and marked the slide. If you noticed, I used both of our options. Country, we isolated and repeated twice, but countries, we repeated once and then had the student immediately read it. So we actually used both of these, and then we covered the slide content. We used 1 to 2 questions. So now our objectives have been met, and we're very efficient with that slide. Okay, so let's go to the next one. Flag. Great job. Please read. Symbol. Great job. What is this, Chris? Yeah. And do you know what this is? Yeah. So here's Chris's flag. Here's teacher Skyla's flag. Yeah. Awesome. And what colors are on the Chinese flag? Use a full sentence. The Chinese flag is good. Good. And what colors are my flag? Great job. Good full sentences. You get a basketball. Great job. So on this one, I was trying to show that they had mispronounced the word symbol. I had them repeat that word. For upper level I always call it upper. Intermediate level, it's the same thing. Intermediate level lessons, these students have a good understanding of basic sentence structure. And so if they make a mistake and they just mispronounce one word, you can just have them isolate and repeat that word correctly 1 or 2 times. And if they repeat it correctly, as long as they say it back verbally, the correction has been met and you can move on. The only time they would have to repeat a full sentence is if they didn't use a full sentence and you're encouraging them to then use one, or if they mispronounced so many words in the sentence that it was no longer a like coherent or complete sentence. Then they would need to repeat back the full sentence. Lower level, they have to repeat it all the time, but these intermediate level lessons, we're really not focusing on teaching them basic sentence structure unless it's something that student is struggling with. So hopefully that makes sense. So if they mispronounce symbol, but they read like it is a symbol of China, and you isolate the word symbol, have them repeat it symbol, you can then move on. But if they were to say, like on the next sentence, it says, we can see the Chinese flag in many places. If they say, we can the China flag many place. So I skipped 2 words. I mispronounced 2 words. Okay, that would be a sentence that you'd isolate each word they mispronounced, like Chinese, places, please read, and then mark that specific sentence and have them read it again so that they're not skipping words and mispronouncing several. So hopefully that makes sense. Okay, so the next slide. That's me underlining. Represents. Represents. Great job. Please read. Good, good. What does represents mean? Can you think of an example of represents? No? Okay. So, let's see. Here, the flag represents China. Oh, here and up here. What do you see? Yeah, Yeah, so you see this, it says VIP Kid. What do you think when you see the words VIP Kid? English classes. Yeah, exactly. So this symbol, this logo, VIP Kid represents teaching English classes, and specifically VIP Kid teaching English classes. Yes, 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 yes. Very good, very good. And when I see this flag, what does it represent? This flag represents America. Great job. You get a basketball and a star. Ding. Great job. Okay, we're going to the next slide. Same approach, following our 1, 2, 3. Capital. Capital. Great job. Please read. Good. Government. Beijing. Great job. So what is the capital of China, Chris? Good, good. And what country do you live in again? Good. And do you know any other capitals? Can you use the full sentence? Good job. Do you know the capital of America? You don't? It's Washington, D.C. Yeah, Washington, D.C. is the capital of America. Great job. You get another basketball. You rock. Okay. So I was pretending that the student mispronounced government and Beijing, and we isolated the word capital first, had them read, and then I asked 3 or 4. I went into more detail, more questions, things like that. Okay, same thing. Come to the next slide. Mark it, have them isolate the word. So there's this pattern that we're following. If you get to where there's several sentences, like let's say there's 3 pages of reading, maybe you want to read the top third as the teacher and have them read the bottom. I have found that if you don't read first, the students will automatically just jump in and do it. They already know what to do a lot of the time at this point, at these levels. So many students will just immediately start reading. And a lot of students are doing pretty well. They're pretty proficient readers at this point. However, if you really want to spend more time on the reading comprehension, and yeah, if you really want to spend more time on reading comprehension, it can be completely appropriate to split the reading. For this mock lesson, there's just one long reading page, so you probably could go ahead and let the student read the full thing, which is coming up in just a moment. But let's go ahead and do the landmark slide. I'm looking for a picture real quick. I should have got this ready before. Okay. Landmarks. The Great Wall. Great job. Please read. Great job. Right here. Recognized. Recognized. Good. Good. Recognized. Do you know what recognized means? So, if something is easily recognized, it means that as soon as you see it, you know what it is, or you know where it's from. So right here, what picture do you see? Yeah. When people see the Great Wall, do they know that's the Great Wall? Yeah, it's easily recognized. So this picture here, have you seen this before? Do you know what it's called? It's the Statue of Liberty. When people see this, what do you think that they think of, or what do you think of? Yeah, they think of America. So this is a landmark for America, and it's easily recognized because people see it and they know that it's America. How about this one? Have you seen this before? Yeah, where is this landmark? It's in America. So this picture is easily recognized because it makes us think of America. Can you repeat that? Let's break it down. This picture is easily recognized because when we see it, we think of America. Great job. You get a star. Ding. Good work. Country. China. Please read, Chris. Great reading. Great reading. Asia. Yes. Yes. Government. Good. So where can the government of China be found? Good. What country are you from? Good. What is the capital of China? Awesome. You got it. You get a basketball. Great job. I need help. I'm going to China very soon. Can you please tell me something about China? Chris, will you read and fill in the blanks? Okay. So here I would mark it. And then on that very first one, since they're not quite sure how it's getting started, I would probably draw a line to that picture of China. And I would probably write out the word represents on the whiteboard for them because they're not quite sure what it's asking usually on the first one, and they have no idea for represents what they're supposed to do. So, yes. You saw how I started that. We'll just pick up where I left off in just a second. So I'm marking it. They're starting to read. I'm going to draw a line to China. Yes, China. Good. Good. Do you remember this word? Good. You got it. You got it. And how many stars are on the Chinese flag again? Good. Chris, do you know how many stars are on the flag for the USA? There are 50. Wow. Because we have 50 states. 50 stars. Okay. And then going into the grammar slides, keep in mind that in a unit, there are 12 lessons, and in the 12 lessons, things are the grammar rules that are introduced at the beginning of the unit are carried throughout the rest of the unit. So if you're on lesson 1, 2, 3 at the very beginning, the student may or may not be familiar with the grammar rules, but when you're on lessons like 8 through 12, most students have already mastered it, and you probably will not spend as much time on that lesson because they've already learned it. So here we have aren't, don't, and don't, and the soft C. And this is lesson, I'm scrolling back because I don't remember. This is lesson number 1. So at this point, it's probably 50-50 on if the student is or is not familiar with it. I personally would probably have them repeat are, not, aren't, and then I would read the first sentence, have them read the next, have them read or repeat do not, don't. I would usually read they do not and then have them read don't. It's just what I often find myself doing. You can bring back a whiteboard, or you could have it previously written on something. With the upper level, you've probably noticed it's just TPR as needed. It's not a constant, ear cupping and gestures like the lower levels are. We've already been using flags and the whiteboard and pictures, like digital pictures. And so for an intermediate level lesson, that's pretty sufficient. I would probably bring at least one more back towards the end, just so that you're using your props beginning, middle, and end. But again, I'd mark it. Are not, aren't. Great job. Listen. They are not from China. Please read. Good job. Do not, don't. Listen. They do not speak Chinese. Great job. What do you see? Good. Aren't. Great job. They are not Chinese landmarks. Good. They do not work for the government. Great job. Can you write aren't and don't on the slide? Right here. Awesome. Awesome. And these are or these aren't Chinese landmarks. Good job. You do or you do not play basketball. Good. Do you think I do or do not play basketball? You're right. Teacher Skyla does not or doesn't play basketball. And you can also say you don't play basketball. Great job. So hopefully that was helpful. So now we're on the last slide. We're on the soft C. I'd probably give a very quick example and then see how they're doing and then help them as needed. So I'd probably come and circle the top with like the CE, the E, the C, the I, just those arrows, just that top third. And this is what I'd do. I'd get to the slide. CE, CI, and CY make the sound S. This is called the soft C. So remember, CE, CI, and CY make the S sound. Okay? Okay. Can you read? Civil. Pencil. Great job. You get a basketball. Good job, Chris. It really can be that simple. And then we get to the last slide. Goodbye, Chris. Great job today. How many basketballs do you see? Yep, you have 6. And how many stars? Great job. It was so nice to meet you. I hope to see you soon. Maybe you can play basketball tomorrow. And will you practice the piano again? Awesome. Goodbye. See you next time. Okay, so I hope you found that complete walkthrough helpful. Keep in mind you are guiding the students. This is not brand new content most of the time. This is usually content that they've previously learned. They're just learning the English words for it. So you are guiding them. You are over preparing to teach the concepts and to teach the lesson material, and then you jump in where they need you. But 9 times out of 10, you will find that they already know it. Just be prepared as the teacher to teach or explain it just in case. I hope you found this helpful. If you ever have any questions, please comment below or email me at skylasposts@gmail.com. I'd love to help you in any way that I can. Good luck with this process. Bye.